Usually I do reviews for, trashy shows. But I thought, you know what? I love to knit, and it's something that I spent a lot of time doing, and unfortunately, get a little costly. I thought I'd reach out to some of the other knitters. What I like to do is I like to make and design my own sweaters just for myself. I'm not a professional designer, that are historically based. So I like historical silhouettes. This right here is one that I finished recently. This is a color work sweater that I did, and I just, sketched it out and stuff first, and then decided to give it a shot. I like to do top down. I also really like a lot of the Scandinavian styles, but I like to add some shape. So like in this one here, I give it like more that Victorian style or bishop sleeve, whatever you like to call it. Um, but I'm here today to talk to you about my current project. What are you guys working on? You can leave it down in the comments below or put it in the chat if you're here live. So this one right here, well, actually, so this is the idea that I want to do. So I love puffy sleeves. I like tight sleeves, like very like elongated cuffs and things like that. So I have a pattern that is similar to this, but by the time I had to make all of my adjustments, it's not even the original pattern anymore. So this is one that I did that was similar to it, and I did this using an alpaca, and this is some mohair that is okay, let me do like that. That's better. I guess you can see it better like that. Yeah, and it has like an open back in the back there. And I have a lace like a lace pattern here in the front, and I just use some little buttons that I got off of eBay. So the goal now is to do this again, but make it look a little bit closer. This is close, but not close enough, right? So I want to make it a little bit closer to this. So what I got was this yarn, and let me tell you the name of it. Let me pull it up now before I even forget, because it's a yarn that I got on Amazon, and the name of it is, hang on, I should have had this ready. The name of the yarn is called Valley Yarns, Southampton yarn, and this is a 72% kid hair and a 28% mulberry silk. It is divine. It's so soft. It's really fuzzy. If you guys can see, like up against my skin, just how fuzzy that is. So, this is a lace weight, so it's very thin. I'm going to, I don't know, take a shot in the dark, because usually this is something that I use for ruffles and things like that. But I'm just gonna attempt to make a sweater that might be more of a, depending on where you live, and I live in the Pacific Northwest, a sweater that I can wear into like late spring or something like that, because it gets pretty cold up here for a good portion of the year. So I plan on taking, hold on. So I plan on taking that pattern, or what I've turned into kind of like my own new pattern, a revised pattern, and I'm going to experiment. So I don't know if you guys have ever worked with mohair before, especially to do a full garment. So, the challenge of it still being, because there is a lace pattern, so I want the lace to still be like in here, this right here, this is an alpaca and cotton blend. And it's pretty nice, because for something that has cotton in it, it's really not bad, like with the stretch. But I want to repeat the same lace pattern with this particular yarn. And this right here is a fingering weight, if you can see. But I want to go in with something thinner, the mohair, which is a lace weight. So hopefully you can see that lace pattern a little bit better in the front than you can on the other one. I'm going to use the same size needles. I plan on using a size 4. I do all my sweaters with size 4. So my sweaters either have, I can never do like a plain sweater. Like, I swear to you guys, I have never ever made a plain sweater. Everything either has full sleeves going up top or it has full sleeves on the bottom. Everything I make comes right to the natural waist because I wear high-waisted, what do you call those? High-waisted skirts, and sometimes I wear pants. So the reason I say that this is historical is because this is a silhouette that was very common, or at least that of the one that I showed you in the picture. That silhouette was very common in the Victorian fashion era, right? So I'm Chickasaw. My people are originally were the indigenous people from Mississippi. And during our removal, or the removal of most Chickasaws, even though not everyone left, but there was a Indian removal into Oklahoma. During that time is kind of that period of dress still to this day is still worn amongst women from amongst our people, and as well as actual tribal members and stuff. So for special occasions and things like that. So I wanted to be able to take these sweaters, or take what has been something that people wore in in a warmer climate using cotton, but use it, change it using yarn, because I'm not the best sewer. I'm better at more embroidery style. I do a lot of beadwork. I made my earrings. I do a lot of flat beadwork and things like that, but I'm not that great with the sewing machine. So that's what kind of interested me in making these historically based sweaters. Now, but for me though, because I just love fashion, I was raised in the South, in Virginia, but I am definitely a fashion person. I lived most of my life in New York City, and I really, really love fashion, but especially historical fashion, mainly because the silhouette to me is so, it's so becoming to the feminine figure, well, at least women's clothing anyway, right? Very nipped in waist and things like that. And you can do all that stuff without necessarily, a corset or something, along those lines. But the project now and the objective is to be able to make the sweater. So usually it takes me about, I don't know, with my schedule, to make long sleeve. And like I said, everything that I make is only to the waist. I don't make anything that you can pull over your butt or anything. So it's not quite as much yarn. It typically takes me about, I don't know, a week and a half or so, depending on what I have going on, to make a sweater like that. My knitting style is, now listen, don't get on me guys, because I don't know the right names for all this stuff. Hold on one second, hold on. Okay, thanks. So anyway, so the needles that I use are typically size 4 needles, usually knit from the top going all the way down. What else was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. My kid gets a little bit rambunctious. It's a Saturday and he gets to stay home today, which he doesn't usually get to do. So anyway, what was I going to say? So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I just like those historical shapes. And I felt that if I was able to translate that shape into a sweater pattern, then it would make it more, you know what I mean? It's like knitting. I learned how to knit when I was 9 years old, but I didn't learn how to purl. So only knowing how to knit, it didn't really, it wasn't that much fun. Crocheting, at least I can whip out a blanket, right? But I didn't like the stitch, the way crochet looks like. It to me is more bulky. So, I gave up the crocheting when I was a kid too. So, fast forward to an adult, after, so many failed attempts with the sewing machine, I said, let me try this historical knitting. And I really, really love the patterns from the 1940s as well. But some of those are achieved by, stuffing the shoulders to kind of get that sort of, that shoulder was really a thing that was in. I mean, not the Joan Crawford shoulder, but it was just more structured at the top, and it just looks so good. It's very slimming. I loved how, they used so much less yarn, but they were trying to conserve because, the war, right? So, and people would recycle their yarn. So, that style of a shirt, of a sweater fitting just so, stopping right at the natural waist, sleeve, not overly long or anything. And they had a lot of those short sleeve sweaters, which are nice. But to me, most of the time it's kind of hard because it's like, if it's cold enough to wear that short sleeve shirt, to go short sleeve, or if it's cold enough to wear a sweater, then it probably needs to be long sleeve. But it just depends. Maybe if you're having like a day where your body temperature is kind of going in between, those short sleeve sweaters can come in handy. But so the plan is to recreate what I made with that sweater, but instead of doing, I went a little bit experimental with the lace. I was only supposed to do the lace like along the bottom, but I decided to do the whole ruffle lace, which I don't like. It's a little too Swiss cheesy for me. So I'm gonna try that again, and I'm gonna do all with one color. I hope I got enough yarn because sometimes the math for like doing the yarn projects and flipping gauge, and I can't do all that. I just eyeball it, and then I always wind up with a little bit too much yarn, but that's okay because I like to do my color work. And even though I can't get a puffy sleeve with color work, listen, if there's a method out there, please let me know. But as far as I know, for these top down sort of yoke sweaters, it seems like you can't really structure the sleeve to go up at all. But yeah, so I'll be using a size 4 needle, and I'll be using like a 3 1/4. Oh, I guess that's in millimeters, right? I don't know the size. Oh wait, actually here's one. Okay, so this is a 3 1/4 millimeter for the neck, and then I'll be using a size 4 for the body. And we'll see how this goes, guys. I'll come back and show it to you once it's all finished and see how it works. Hopefully it fits okay. And I'm not sure because this one it's tougher when you're doing this sort of blouse. I've just made so many of these in a sweater form because it's very fitted. It's made to be fitted, and you're supposed to use well, ideally you would use yarns that don't have too much stretch, so it's not quite as forgiving, and you got to get that neck to really fit around. So we'll see, fingers crossed. But anyway, thanks for joining me. If you guys have any projects that you're working on that are sweater related or historically related, please leave it down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Chippy Salacho.